Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. It is Markets in the Morning. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Welcome to Markets in the Morning. Today is Monday, January 15th, 2024. This is Markets in the Morning, where we take a look at the price action of the Bitcoin price chart and the cryptocurrency market, including the altcoins. Typically, we take a look over there at the stock market, as it should be getting set to open in the next 3 minutes. However, today is a holiday and the United States stock market will be closed. Normally, we do not do markets in the morning when it comes to the stock market being closed, so this isn't normal. It's just, of course, we've had a lot of action here in Bitcoin. It's been kind of an exciting last 5 days, and I happen to have a little bit of free time this morning, so we'll do like a 30-minute markets in the morning here real quick. Of course, everybody that I've told has already cracked jokes and says, okay, so 2 hours it is then. Nope, we're going to do our absolute best to keep it at 30 minutes this morning and then go enjoy the rest of the day. We'll take a peek over there, just look at the stock market, even though it's not open today. And then we'll take a peek over there, precious metals, DXY, any type of crypto news going on out there or financial news as we get ready to kick off just this holiday. So let's go ahead and dive on in. Bitcoin sitting at 42,512 after hitting the 618 retracement on the exact day of the ETF last week. I have put out a newsletter already. We'll talking about that and talking about all the signs and the troubles that have showed up in here. You guys have seen this here in Markets in the Morning as well. I do think, there's a chance we have found some stability. The thing that's really interesting about it, of course, is, Bitcoin being tied to the stock market has always been, the evidence that we have seen, but it's also been very interesting, of course, to have it just be completely still while the stock market is closed and these ETFs are not tradable at this point, at this moment, until the stock market opens back up. But if you were going to kind of like look for a topping structure to happen in here, like when I think of the most optimistic style of distribution happening in there, it would be something similar to what we've seen happen before. That maybe there's a little bounce in here to $45,000 to $47,000, and then it does pull back down again one more time, and then we kind of get quite a bit of accumulation that actually happens in here for some time, and then this is really the chance for everything in this market to have a big run. And of course, all that looking over there to the NDXD, looking to the stock market, that it's a similar phase of just where we're at right now, and having those expectations here on this channel and the way I'm treating all of this. And when I give you guys the coverage of it, these have always been my thoughts, right? And the thoughts have always been Bitcoin back to a retracement level. And one of the things, we'll just say, let's do this really fast. Okay, the Bitcoin craze price hits $49,000 amidst ETF market frenzy. What the recent price surge could mean for Bitcoin, the altcoin market, and reversals. So that newsletter was published there this morning. But one of the things we're talking about in there, I saw it today. Blockchain Trucker put out he did like a live stream over there on Twitter, and it's like BC Backer, the most hated man in crypto right now, which I always told you guys I would end up becoming the most hated person here. Just like you get hated at all reversals, and that's just how it's always going. For those who have been here since 2020 would know that after C19 being bullish, I was hated at the peak when Elon Musk bought all of his Tesla bought all of their Bitcoin, and I sold 65%. I was the most hated and spent 3 to 4 months being like, that's the top of Bitcoin, hated. Then down here, remember, just admit it's a bear market. No, we're going to set a new high. Boom, that's the top. No, I hate you. And then the bottom, we spent a year and a half, that. And then we get back to retracement levels. I'm hated again. So it's like, it's normal. It's something that I have become accustomed to. It's a weird thing to become accustomed to something like that, but I try to always communicate that to you here on the channel when those types of things are happening, in that, I forecast that I should be hated right around this particular time. And if so, that's like this extra little indicator that isn't present on the charts. It isn't like measurable. It's just recognizing all the hate. And that's usually the sign that whatever the idea is has a higher likelihood of being right. Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. But things to think about, right? So why was the retrace idea the thought, and why is it still the thought, right? There's plenty of arguing saying it's going to be more than a retrace, and that's fine. Let's go back and just think through our head, right? And we're not going to give them a hard time, but let's think about all the people who stuck around for the last year and a half through the depths of all this price action, and who were hoping for 12K. We have to think about the psychology of who they are, and I'm writing about that in here, thinking about the psychology of what is the 12K? Were they bears? No, right? Nobody who was screaming for 12K was actually a bear. They were a bull. They just wanted to be able to buy Bitcoin for a cheaper price because still 4-year cycles, it's going to turn up. I'm going to buy at an 82 to 86% correction like we saw back in 2018, right? You get a 84% correction. You head back. We're on Coinbase. Let's go to Bitstamp. Right, we go back to 2014. How big is the correction? Almost 87, right? 86 to 87. So, the hope was to be able to buy Bitcoin at those same prices, right? So you get down into those 82s, 83s, right? 84s. That gets you into what? That gets you into the 10 to 12K price level. So the people who stuck around, the real bears, the people who are truly bearish on Bitcoin, who were, said, screw this stuff, they just left, right? They were gone. That's what people always do. You get the excitement time where everybody pours in, and then you get the people who really are bears, and they're like, I give up on this thing. They just end up leaving. The people who stuck around looking for 12K were not bears. They just wanted to buy cheap. So they were long-term bulls, but they wanted to buy lower, right? And that's really all it was. And that was the root of exactly what happened in there. And so, we get in here, you still have a lot of them screaming for lower prices. Just, you got pretty much washing machine. If your thought was 12K in here, well, it shot up so quickly right in here. It didn't give an opportunity to really think about it. And then the banking crisis happened and shook a lot of people out. Then it shoots up to here. And then we have Balaji saying $1 million in 90 days. And then it just goes sideways for 7 months. And then here at about 5 months, we end up having the absolute liquidation that happens in there in 5 minutes, right? Then price stays low. And then you got all the content out there pointing down to 23, 20, 16, and 12K after that. So just an absolute washing machine if you didn't have the idea that we were going to go back to the retracement levels. And so once we broke from this range, this is where really everybody kind of pours back in. And if you remember, I was going through a lot of stuff talking about my emotional log in here and saying the weight of feeling like someone is standing on your chest gets alleviated once that break happens right in there. I read emotional logs. I showed it. That's where that fear disappeared, right? It no longer felt like someone was standing on you anymore. You get through there, that fear dissipates, right? So what you have is you have everybody who was looking for 12K, who were bulls, right? They weren't bears. And I think that's the proper mentality to have about those who were looking for lower prices, is that their long-term conviction on Bitcoin is bullish. They just thought they were going to be able to get a lower price. And that's not to take a stab at them. There's a clear, I don't think anybody knew why they were doing it. It was really just copying and regurgitating what other content was saying. Because every time I asked, hey, why are we going to 12K? No one ever gave me a reason, but come on, I knew. 82 to 86% drawdown like we saw in 2018 and in 2014. But once we get through here, the image becomes very different, and it just becomes real clear we have gotten through, right? We can just go back, replay, right? You get that break right there. It just becomes blatantly obvious that this thing has reversed at this point, right? Just clear as day. And all the indicators are showing, this thing is surging to the upside at that point, right? And so, we get here and we get through that level. And so anybody who was bulls, there was lots of bulls on the sideline, right? So all the bulls have poured back in sometime between October, November, December, and January. And so there's going to be a lot of anger. Like I started this by saying, BC back are the most hated men in crypto. There's going to be a lot of frustration and anger to say, sorry, that's the end of it, and that's the retracement. But then you have to go back and you have to say, why is that even possible in the first place? Why didn't it do an 82 to 86% correction? Why didn't it completely reset itself? Or is something else at play that's not the typical 4-year cycles that everybody is looking for and everybody is used to? But that something else is at play because it only fell down 77%, right? If you were doing a full cycle reset, like we showed, yes, you'd get down there. Like if you just went the exact distance of what you did back in here, 84.12%. That's about 10,900. If you do the 86 to 87% like you did in 2014, so we'll just mark these real quick. I'll take this off the screen there. If we do the 87%, way down here. So why did we come up so short? Is it possible this is just a retrace that eventually rolls over? And again, that's been my thesis since before we found our bottom, that we'll go back into some form of an actual retrace. And so you have to understand why the sentiment is shifted the way it is, and that it's not like, hey, great, cool, we made it to the retracements. And I get it, a lot of you are. It's amazing the kind words you're saying, hey, we got here. But we don't, and I appreciate all that, but it is about focusing on just the sentiment of the whole crowd, like the collective group. And so we get back here, and the thing is that they all just got pulled in, right? And then the narrative got really hot with the ETFs, and we get here, and nobody wants to believe that. But what we do see is we see a tremendous amount of signatures on here from daily volume bars and from weekly volume bars to signal there was some serious concern that just happened here for Bitcoin. That's not serious concern here because that is the hypothesis and the thesis of Bitcoin. But for the group who are very Bitcoin focused, there's probably a lot of ignoring of the things that just happened there last week. So things we'll look for to validate that this idea is still correct is that there's probably going to be a bounce at some point. Now, you'd think that there's going to be some type of bounce at some point, and that it gets somewhere between $45,000 to $47,000. But a thing that will really, really say, hey, there's issues, is to go set a new lower low below all of these. And it's typical for us to do something like that, where we do find, come on. There's a little bit of support without that newer lower low. It does about a 50% retracement and then sets the lower low. Again, that all corroborates what's happening over here in the stock market. And the thing is, we really get sucked into that narrative of ETFs. I've seen a lot of people, of course, on Twitter being like, you don't know what you're talking about, inflows into ETF. And, everybody thinking the price of Bitcoin has risen due to the ETF. But of course, here on this channel, we're always looking at it to show it's not true, right? Like, you're moving with the stock market. Look at the big rally that Bitcoin has had. Look at the big rally the technology sector has had. I've written newsletters on that. I've covered that here in the YouTube channel as well. That correlation between those things moving together. And so if we are in this moment of these things topping out, and we're kind of on that first phase in here on getting in here, well, doesn't it make perfect sense? We're on the first phase in there. So this will be the things we continue to talk about. We'll still keep poking at them, and the idea of poking on Twitter and stuff like that. It's not to be a jerk. It's sometimes that's the only way people can be effectively communicated with. I definitely have the ability to write out very intellectual threads and prove points and stuff like that, but that doesn't always speak to everybody. Sometimes they just need a big fat meme jammed in their face to kind of wake them up a little bit. So I will still continue poking the bear over there on Twitter just to kind of wake people up out of the slumber. But those are the things we'll look for in here. And I think the opportunity for all the euphoria in the market likely comes in this whole area right in here, all throughout there. And so, maybe we get a little bit of it to start here, but, it's going to be this one flush. If we get that flush back down below these lows here, below $40,000, that flush into, 30, the 38s and the 37s and 36s, we get a flush in there. That's where the Bitcoiners might get spooked a little bit. And then, the shift really starts to kick in, which, we've already been seeing the shift kicking in here on the dominance. And of course, I put out a whole video on that. We talk more about that in the newsletter that was published this morning as well. That you just see it in here. Look at that bearish engulfing red one from last week. You can see it in here, the stochastic RSI on the weekly time frame pointing straight down. Look at the MACD. It's not even able to look. So again, June, right? June, if you caught the video and you caught the discussions that we've had, June is the peak of the MACD. And it's just continuing to roll over on the weekly time frame. And then, of course, if you caught it, if you stayed around late in markets in the morning on Friday, and then, of course, if you watched the video yesterday, the first cross happening in here since October of 2021, since the peak of the market happening in there for Bitcoin dominance. We were pointing to that last week. There we go. There's the new 2 weeks. So getting some excitement, and I think we're going to see some rotational behavior happening in here. And that, of course, would end up confirming all of this in here. This is something you should not see, right? We've gone through the historical behavior of the cryptocurrency market many, many times. There are really 2 times where the altcoins have a run, and that's it. Throughout all of history, we're talking, we can go back and start looking at altcoins in like 2013. They only run when Bitcoin is topping into a retrace or if it's breaking into a new all-time high. It doesn't just show up some random time. It happens either we're breaking out into a new all-time high or it's topping in a retrace. So if we start seeing the dominance really catch some speed, which I'm going to suspect we eventually will. Again, like I've said, I don't think we're going to be seeing something like 20%, probably not even 30%, but taking out the lows and giving that dip down into here as being the thing. And again, if this happens while Bitcoin is right in here, it's again another confluence to pay attention to, that the peak of Bitcoin is in. Again, none of this is just happening on the whim of a moment or whim of a thought. You guys know it for who have watched here. The idea has been to get back to retracement. Now we're really looking for those topping structures to confirm it, and then additional behavior throughout the rest of the market to confirm it as well. So the thing we're looking for now is a little bit of frustration, yield chasing. There's still euphoria in the markets. There's still euphoria in the stock market, right? People in the stock market aren't scared right now. They're having the time of their lives. It's all beautiful sunshine and rainbows and all-time highs for the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So we're definitely still in a period of euphoria. We're still in a period of hope and optimism, right? Hope has not been given up on Bitcoin, and that's what you want. You want to keep that hope going, keep those headlines going, keep that excitement going, but then continue to see things like SUI just continue going, Link keep going, right? All these things just kind of keep on going and going and going. So this is what we'll be paying attention to in the coming weeks, really, just to see if we can go take out these lows that were set back in here in December. So anything below $40,000, again, really points to topping structures happening in here. And one thing we'll just go ahead and paint the picture of right now, because we already see it, the aggression towards me on Twitter, which is fine. I'm used to it, is that in these types of topping structures, there actually does become another high. Right? I mean, you know it. There would become another high. There you go. Right? We would see that in the NDXT. The NDXT attempt to set a new high. You would see the Dow. Right? The Dow still has about 4.3% to go until it hits a 4.236 extension. And that would be that blockchain backer doesn't know anything. He just is the dumbest guy alive. And so keeping eyes for that, right? And so like when we go back into this moment too, there was exceptional sell volume in here. And then it really was tame. It's much more tame in here. So when we look to sell volumes, which we go through in the newsletter today, we go through a ton of them. We go through a lot of the ETFs that have been in existence, like in BITO and BTI. We go through Bitcoin, we go through the dominance, and we show all those volumes, those volume signatures that have happened in here that are something to take notice of. And these are the types of volume signatures that happen at peaks to see these things start to arrive in here. So, of course, this is the Coinbase chart, and we see this was the highest sell volume dating back to 2022. So a year and a month to get that. And of course, that's in our FTX style stuff. So good luck to Bitcoiners. And, again, it's not that I cheer for that. I'm very well aware of how this market has behaved historically. If Bitcoin goes into an all-time high, which is about 50% up from where it's at right now, right? 60% up from where it's at right now. The rest of this market is going to go absolute ape-s bananas in that type of scenario. So I don't care. I don't care if it goes up. It would be completely fine. Percentage-wise, it's of zero interest to me whatsoever. 60%. That's not why I come into the cryptocurrency market. But I find it incredibly improbable that we're going to see it. I do think we're working on distribution here for Bitcoin. And it was a lot of fighting, a year and a half to fight that, to say this is where we would go. They said it would never happen. We got it. So rock and roll. Now the next steps, of course, is to still continue distribution, continue excitement, optimism. You guys know it. If you were here in 2021, which again, I did a poll, 95% of you guys were here in 2021. This was a moment of euphoria, celebration. We did it. We're going. Everything is wonderful. And then just real quietly, everything turned over, right? And we don't know if that's going to be the case here in the United States stock market or in crypto or anything like that. But the reality is catalysts do tend to just show up when they're supposed to. And I think you really got to witness that with Bitcoin, how timed narratives and events, they seem to happen right where they're supposed to on price charts. We talk about it for a year and a half to get to a retrace, and the ETF gets released at the retrace. A lot of times what happens is we just have to get our chart set up for where it needs to be, and then the catalyst will just arrive. So it's going to be keeping eyes out for, if we get up there, that surprise catalysts arrive. I hate to say black swan because I don't want anything to do with the black swan. But to kind of prepare that the charts are all lining themselves up for those types of events to show themselves. Again, like what we saw with Bitcoin, what we saw with the cryptocurrency market is we really actually just rolled over. And then once we rolled over, then all the breaks in the market happen, right? Or the institutions and the services, they all, are illiquid and bankrupt, and it just becomes a breaking point. That's always the case too, that there is no narrative and it just kind of rolls over like that for the United States stock market. But again, a couple of months of excitement, right? So the year's potential, excitement to caution, right? So, still thinking my base thesis for all of this is still that there's still a lot of excitement left in these markets, a lot of excitement left in these markets, but it's not going to last forever, right? That it's, a couple of months. Those things tend to only happen in times like this where Bitcoin has run out of juice. So like anybody cheering for their altcoins and whatnot like that, this is what you want. You want Bitcoin to be running out of juice. You want Bitcoin to be chilling. And you want there still to be optimism in the market that the market can keep going up, right? So we have that optimism and that excitement of the market continuing to go up, and you have that over there in the stock market as well. And those are the elements you want to see. But at the same time, you want to see Bitcoin just chilling and not doing anything. And I think that's where we're at for some time right now for Bitcoin. So I don't know if I accurately painted it, but I think Bitcoin's going to have distribution happening all throughout here. And there's still going to remain the hope and the optimism. There's still going to be you don't know what you're talking about, capital inflows into ETFs. JP Morgan and BlackRock are not dumping on us. They're now our friends. I know we've spent the last 15 years calling Bitcoin FU money and down with the banks. I know we have spent 15 years doing that. We've now decided to join hands with BlackRock and JP Morgan, and they're not dumping on us, okay? I get it. but I don't think so. I don't think so. All right, moving along. Total 2, you're still holding on just fine. XRP still holding above levels just fine, waiting for the whole market to get going and for Total 2 to go. Ethereum, of course, as Bitcoin sold off, Ethereum was able to break out to a new level over there, still just holding. Again, when Ethereum gets up in here into retracement levels, guys, I'm going to treat it the same way. I'm going to take some Ethereum off the table. No surprises, okay? Be prepared. I'm not going to go as aggressive with Ethereum as I did with Bitcoin, but I will take enough off to repay myself for everything for down here. Okay. So get ready. There will be a time where I say, hey, I've sold some Ethereum. I'm taking some off the table because we're at a third range boundary. We're at a retrace. That's how it goes. It should be no surprise to anybody when it comes to charts. When you get to retracement levels, you don't really know how it's going to react when it gets right there, except this can always be a problem. So definitely there will be some taken off, unless if it's just like doesn't even give enough time and goes through it. Then it's like, well, never mind, maybe not, But the anticipation still is there's going to be some that has to be taken off the table here for Ethereum. All right, Bitcoin dominance. We've already gone through that here earlier in the video, in the live stream. We've already talked about the Dow. I don't know why there's a second Dow up there. Gold is up slightly a little bit today, even though the markets are closed. Of course, gold is, everybody loves international. Gold, platinum, silver is down just slightly, but silver did bounce from last week. The US dollar currency index, right? We've talked about this. I do believe the bottom of the DXY is in, expecting somewhat of a retrace and then a revisit back to the lows. Again, this is going to really be kind of the moment where, obviously we're talking about excitement to caution, right? Like I do believe that we have a period of this year where there is a lot of excitement. I think Bitcoin's there's still going to remain excitement about Bitcoin. I just don't think we're going to see any more price appreciation for Bitcoin outside of the potential of something like that happening right there. But when I will really start to become the mega caution guy on the channel is if this plays out right here and the DXY is down here. This will be where it's at, and the confluence things we'll be looking for, of course, would be euphoria in markets, euphoria in the altcoin market, euphoria in the stock market, all that type of stuff. And if we are right down in here and you have that at the exact same time, we will be flipping to doomer. But the thing about that, the things I've been thinking about is, well, how do we proceed here with the channel, and how do we proceed with thoughts moving forward if the only thing is about doomer, right? And it's going to be, the next several months, while still riding these things up and having excitement, it's going to be really. I try to think about if the market is crumbling and the market is crashing and all these theses are correct and that this is the end of it. Well, there's always money to be made somewhere, and really isolating what are going to be those things. And those are probably going to end up being the things that we'll be focusing on during any type of duration like that. Things like would be like inverse correlated to stocks, right? Like SQQQ, or focusing on inverse Bitcoin ETFs like BITI. And that those would be more of the focuses during that time. And that just because everything is crashing and crumbling, or if that happens, it doesn't mean there isn't money to be made somewhere. You just have to find the things that make money when those types of events happen. And there's lots of inverse style products and investments out there that we'll try to find and locate and get a good list going before an event, hopefully before an event like that would end up happening. So I think that's going to be kind of the transition that ends up happening, is being like, all right, these are the things we're going to be looking at. These are going to be watching. This is where I'm shifting some capital and things like that. And that's what the focus would be in the event of something like that. But as of right now, it's really just focused on still continuing the excitement of the market and still looking to get a little bit more action. But again, this is a reiteration of that for those who think that this is ETF related and the price has been rising because of sound money narratives. Just remember, this is absolutely 100% tied to the stock market, and the fact that that Bitcoin is even in the stock market now. Good luck. Good luck believing it's not, because it is. For sure. And I even read a whole newsletter. Bitcoin, is it money or is it tech? There's your answer, guys. Like, there's your answer. So, and again, this isn't to be a jerk. This is totally just to say, there's a lot of narrative building and fantasy and frothy baloney on story building to try to get the price to pump. But the price pumping is really, I don't even think it really has anything to do with what narrative you spin, what things you say. It's really all tied to what is going on in broader markets and what is happening with liquidity flows through those markets. So, all right. DXY, we've already talked about you. Gold, you're still just waddling in waddle land. Dow, 4.3% away from the 4.236. So we'll go ahead and check financial news out there, and then we'll hop into the chat and go enjoy our day. And like, of course, I failed right out the gates. I ran my mouth for 30 minutes and haven't even hopped into the chat yet. All right, when it comes to everybody's right. When it comes to the CME futures for Fed funds interest rate hike, still looking at a pause happening over there in 16 days. And then when it comes to rate cuts, it looks like the market has priced in a rate cut for every single meeting throughout the year of 2024. Looking over there at financial news, I didn't see anything really at all interesting today. It makes sense. Most people are off work today. Record cold, long lines, what to watch during the Iowa caucus. Yeah, it is cold throughout the majority of the United States today. Davos elite size up the global risk of another Trump presidency. European stocks slip as traders weigh rate outlook. U.S. Congress unveils temporary spending bill to avert a shutdown. China holds key rates as economy prepares for difficult year. Bone-chilling cold test power grids from Texas to Alberta. Looking over here at Cointelegraph. Bitcoin rent agreement. A landlord and a tenant sign a Bitcoin contract. Wow, what incredible utility and adoption. Bitcoin speculators dump $5 billion. 5 things to know in Bitcoin this week. BlackRock drops boomer Bitcoin ETF ad as marketing blitz ramps up. Bitcoin price sells off after ETF approval. Have investors turned bearish? All the indicators would indicate that they have, or big money has. Retail is usually behind. Will Bitcoin keep dropping because of the ETFs? Crypto Blitz, Bitcoin ETFs debut, asset tokenization, Ripple's buyback, and more. Ripple, and correct me if I'm wrong, I do believe Ripple bought back their shares of their stock at an $11.3 billion valuation, which is actually down from their $15 billion valuation in 2022. Right, so they bought back shares back in 2022, valuing it themselves at $15 billion, and then now they just bought shares back at a valuation of $11.3 billion. Will Bitcoin keep dropping because of the ETFs? Reported transfer of 15 billion XRP was part of a failed exploit attempt. Okay. Riot TerraWolf and CleanSpark best positioned miners for Bitcoin halving. Gold on steroids. Bitcoin gold correlation surges in 2023. The Bitcoin and gold correlation surges in 2023. Fidelity, yeah, right. JP Morgan sees significant capital from existing crypto products pouring into new spot Bitcoin ETFs. Right. So what is that? Those who don't understand what that means are immediately going to read that and mean it's bullish. The newly created ETF could attract inflows up to $36 billion from other crypto products like Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, a report said. That does not mean new capital inflows. That means just shifting. People in Grayscale, people in Beto, shifting from one product to another product. The reality is you need a lot of new capital inflows coming from people or capital that is sitting on the sidelines to pour in, not rotating. Not people being like, I'm going to sell my spot Bitcoin because I don't really care about, holding Bitcoin on Coinbase or cold storage or anything like that. I'll just go buy the JP Morgan ETF. That's just a wash, right? Or I'm going to sell my Grayscale and I'm going to go put it with JP Morgan. That's just a wash. That's not new capital inflows, right? So that's the thing that you're needing to pay attention to is new capital inflows. Bitcoin's technical, which I don't think matters. Bitcoin's technical suggests deeper pullback to 38K, says an analyst. Okay, there we go. That's your news for today. let's go ahead and hop into the chat, and I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you're getting a day off. I know it. I know not a lot of people do, but sometimes these kids, they just don't have school, and you've taken the day off to be home with the kids, and that's for the United States. The rest of the world, you guys are like, whatever, man, it's a normal day. All right. Andy Philpott gifted a BCB membership. Brother, thank you very much. Janice, member for 7 months. This is the most exciting and most finger-biting time. All the best. Thank you, Janice. Thank you, Andy. Code 9 gifted a BCB membership as well. Brother, thank you. And so did Hot Tub Brian, HTB. And you guys were just gifting them like crazy. Dennis Wayne, thank you very much. You gifted a BCB membership. And then Degenerate Speculator says, can you check out Cardano TA? I'm pretty sure we've done that we did it in the last markets in the morning. We pulled that one up. I don't want, guys, hold back with the amount of time we're planning on spending today. Hold back your super chats to ask for altcoins today, guys. I'll throw Cardano on the screen. Right, this is what we've talked about last week, right? This is where you're at. You're on one support. That's a typical location that a support does get tested. Will it? Don't know. But that is very typical for it to happen. We've hit one support level. That's a typical support level for Cardano. And then it's now a waiting game. It's been a great rise going from 24 cents up to 68, right? Over 200%. We're kind of chilling out right now, seeing if it's going to build a base here on top of the support. Okay. Bitcoin back to 42,250 this morning as we get started. Luke, man, thank you. I haven't seen you show up. Gifted 1 BCB membership. Man, thank you very much. Trade failure, new member. Welcome. JB Heavy Equipment Services Inc. member for 8 months. Where would you say the weight on your chest feeling would be on the XRP chart? By the way, thanks for always having our backs. I don't really know. I would say people will probably feel that way above 95. Yeah, like I go back and remember this. Like this was the oh my gosh moment right there. And it was right here. Like you knew it. Right when it got through there. I remember going through it live, watching it on the 5-minute chart. And when it got through, it was the, oh my gosh, this is it moment. After going through this same stuff, just up, down, trash for 7 months, that was that moment. And on the 5-minute chart being like, it did it. Will that be the case here? I don't know, but that was it then. And I remember it because I do remember, like I wasn't sleeping. I didn't wake up. I was watching it on a 5-minute chart when it happened. And when it got through there, and do remember that moment of being like, this is it. So we'll see if that ends up being the case too. There. Hey, look at that. How about that support level? Thank you, JB. Ari Madugno. Good morning, BCB. What's next? Is your personal ratio chance that we see Bitcoin consolidate at 31 or U99.9 on 3K incoming over time? Right. So if this is only a retrace, right, you have to have your own scenarios drawn out, right? Do you think that Bitcoin is starting a new cycle? If you think Bitcoin is starting a new cycle, a likely place for the price of Bitcoin to go is going to be 30 to 32K. Right? It's followed 2014 to 2016 in spectacular fashion. The next place it went was back test the support. And we talk about these things all the time. Right? This originated in the newsletter. It's since then now been shared here on the channel. But every time we go into new levels, what happens? The previous level does end up getting back tested, right? You could see that here. And if we do use 2014, 2016 as the example, that's where it went to, right? It goes back and it back tests the previous level that we broke out from, which is the exact same level that we've been showing here. This is the exact same timing, exact same place, right? If you're a bull, right, that seems to be the most probable, right? It seems to be the most probable. In all of Bitcoin's retraces, they all end up going back to the 618 and then rejecting from them. So, you know, it's the exact same behavior, right? Of retail excitement, anger, frustration. How could you say it's going to stop here? Well, because it kind of always does, right? It kind of always does. Even in your bull market scenarios. So anybody who has a bull market scenario, you just have to think to yourself, well, it kind of always rejects there. And it kind of always goes back and back tests previous levels. So, you know, then the $1 million question is, does Bitcoin just consolidate like it did in 2016 and then ramp up and go for a full-blown bubble and go for another cycle all over again? Problem is, of course, that if that is the issue, why does Bitcoin go into a bear market at every single time the stock market stops? And if that's going to be the case for the markets, and if there's liquidations happening over there in the US stock market, and especially now that Bitcoin has ETFs in the stock market, which will be part of investment portfolios that will get liquidated when liquidations happen, how are we going to go onto a new cycle, right? If this idea is correct, right? You know, in these events, right, these are the consolidations, and where do you go to? You go below, right? This is a wave 4 consolidation. There's your final bubble. You go to the below it, right? That's what you see over there with Ethereum, the thing we've talked about for forever. Go back and look here. Right, that's your consolidation. Go ahead and add Bitcoin. And we'll talk about something disingenuous that's going around on Twitter too. We'll hide all of that so it's just a little easier to see. And we'll flip you to a 2-day chart. Right, so in this event, right, big old retracement comes in here. And then eventually it rolls over and it goes down below the consolidation, right? Crash, retrace, reaccumulation, goes to 4.236 extension from here, right? And we have still, after that retrace, and we've all seen it, you know, where the retrace bounce is, right? It's back down here at like the 786 below the previous all-time high. It bounces up. That's what we have had down here for Bitcoin. Right, bounces off the 786 below the previous all-time high, retracement, everybody becomes euphoric, back into the retracement in here. And then what ends up happening with this, right? It goes and takes out that low, right? So if we go take out this low, where's that low? $3,120. No, that's impossible. Sound money. It's completely impossible. 4-year cycles, block reward halvings. We're going to the moon. But what about stock market? No. Well, we've disproved that. It's always happening in here, right? It's always happening that if this is going on, Bitcoin's in a bear market. If this is going on, Bitcoin's in a bull market, right? Like that, it's just proven to be that way. So we have to go look at examples and say, well, what happens in circumstances? Where are you? There you are. In structures like this, where we fall all the way back down after a 4.236, bounce at the 786, go back into a retracement, what ends up happening, right? Just the long sleep. We go down for the long sleep and take out those levels. And right, this isn't the only one that does this, right? We saw this with Netflix. There's your wave 4 consolidation, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, goes all the way down below the consolidation level, below that wave 4 consolidation level, that crash, retrace, reaccumulation, go. Crash, retrace, reaccumulation, go. And that is what we've had over here for Bitcoin. And this is the retrace, right? So there's no need for anybody to be angry at me. These things have all been out there the whole time. And we've talked about it for 2 years. But now you get here and then people are mad. It's a wonderful, or not a wonderful, it's a wondrous like sight to behold. And I think it really just all stems from spending so much time wanting 12K. And like and that's the way it really needs to be phrased, is it's not bears were screaming for 12K. It's bulls were sidelined, not in Bitcoin, hoping to be able to buy at 12K for a full-blown new cycle and not recognizing what was potentially at play here. And so this was the thesis of what's going on here for Bitcoin. The steam running out for Bitcoin now as we get back in here. In the event, this is absolutely not ruled out to be the case for Bitcoin, especially if this ends up happening. And, the thing that everybody will scream is nobody could see this coming. It was never going to, nobody knew that would end up happening. And JP Morgan is manipulating the price of Bitcoin. And it's just a perfect narrative. Think about it. I mean, you get Bitcoin started down here. This thing goes on a 480% bull run, 4.3% away from the top. ETF. And who's the one? Ask yourself this. Where is BlackRock funding their Bitcoin from when new capital inflows? If you do not have a solid answer on where those come from, then how do you know it's not JP Morgan themselves? How do you know JP Morgan themselves are not the ones selling their own personal Bitcoin to BlackRock for the ETF? And the reality is you can see it on Twitter. Nobody knows. Nobody knows where it's coming from. It's all these theories that they're going to run and buy spot and run to Binance and Coinbase and scoop up a bunch of Bitcoin. How do you know? How do you not know if they bought in here, right? Or they bought here. And now JP Morgan's just providing their own Bitcoins to the ETFs here, right? Like, they're your friend now. They're your friend. They'll go back to living in 2000. Bitcoin was FU money in 2017, down with the banks. Now it's this whole new breed of large influencers who run the show for Bitcoin. None of them were around pre-2020 and 2021, including Michael Saylor. Not here in 2017, 18, or 19. Totally showed up in like October of 2020 when the bull run got going. And then all the other faces with hundreds of thousands who weren't here at that moment. The messaging of what Bitcoin is fully lost. Nobody knows what the messaging of Bitcoin is anymore. Is it a store of value? Is it an inflation hedge? Is it sound money? What is it? What is it? And why is it so tied to the stock market? So, yeah, we'll stop there. Okay. Right. So, Ari, so the way I view it is that I'll tell you what my thoughts are going to be so we know ahead of time in the event that it comes. Let's go back to Coinbase. It's just like I wrote in my thread, right? So I put out a tweet on like December 3rd or 4th saying I'm starting to sell my Bitcoin as we got the 50%, right? And then finished the day we hit the 618. The thing is, I'm not blind to this, but I'm not blind to the behavior of Bitcoin versus 2014 to 2016. And in that event, what ends up happening? The price of Bitcoin goes and slams back down to the lows, right? That's what always ends up happening. So like in the event that we go back and slam back down into the lows, I fully suspect I will take a trade on it. I will take a shot at it to buy it. And then if it doesn't break, and if it doesn't hold those peaks, I sell it and I'm out. And it's like, yep, 3K. But until that event actually ends up happening, that's what kind of got to wait for. And if it goes breaking down below and it loses that, it's like writing on the wall, I'm going to be the 3K doomer on Twitter. People will hate me. And, that's the point of it is for people not, the reason I do it is absolutely not to be like, there's accounts who love to play the villain. I don't like playing the villain. That's not the point of any of it, of what I'm doing. I'm saying, look, wake up. Just like, what was I saying in here? It's like, I'm like grabbing you. I'm like shaking you. I'm like, wake up. Wake up! It's the same thing happening up here. Wake up. Wake up. Get out of your slumber. Get out of it. You're reading too many narratives. Wake up. And that's the point. Okay, I got to keep going. Chris and Alcohol gifted 5 BCB memberships. Brother, thank you very, very much. Crypto Student 99 gifted a BCB membership. Brother, thank you. Same with Gator. Gator gifted 5. Man, you guys, thank you very much. If you got your name turned green, there you go. Joshua Ricotta, is there a way to ask a question without being black? I don't know. Stephen Edinburgh, thank you, brother. Stephen Edinburgh gifted 5 BCB memberships. Brother, thank you. Thank you. Stephen, I went back and rewatched the stream, and you had dropped the hundo. Thank you, brother. Van Media with thank you very much. He says, "Hey BCB, thank you as always. You mentioned last time that I'd super chat that ETH was equal to Bitcoin being a 30K. Where do you see ETH going from here? Thank you." Wait, let's see. You mentioned the last time I did a super chat that Ethereum was equal to Bitcoin being at $30,000. Where do you see Ethereum going from here? Right. So Ethereum is going to be an interesting one because it's going to test the idea on whether or not it's fully a speculative asset or if there's utility to it, right? The total value locked and the activity on chain for Ethereum is the highest really of any of the coins in the cryptocurrency market. Like it's Ethereum. It's the one that's used the most. So the potential to go up here and, we've done Elliott wave counts on this. I've showed it in depth. I did a whole video on Ethereum showing that it's a perfect expanding flat Elliott wave correction. Completely perfect to the T. Even this pull down was a perfect Fibonacci pull down. And so there's a whole video on that. I'll go see if I can find it. The first thing to pay attention to is just retraces when it gets back to them, right? That's the danger zone. Everybody, this is, of course, will be identical to Bitcoin. There will be euphoria here. There will be excitement here. There will be Ethereum to $100 bajillion. Kathy Wood comes onto TV. She says it's going to $400 bajillion. $100 bajillion is FUD. $400 bajillion, no matter what. And so it doesn't matter at this point. I have to take a precautionary approach and sell some, right? It's just how it's always going to go for me. But if we can get through there, we're not going to go into that today, but I see the potential for much higher. And if we get into all-time highs, I see forecasts of $10,000, $15,000. I see higher than that if we can get through the all-time high. But it doesn't mean I'm not going to sell some here. I'm not going to take all my money back that was put in at the bottom. It will all get taken back right here. And I'll just be riding free Ethereum from there on out. But my money is going to get taken back there if the opportunity is given. Like I said, unless if I'm sleeping in the middle of the night and it straight lines through it. Then, well, it is what it is. Poor me. I'll be going to the moon. Oh, man, how long ago did I make that video? Let me just type the word Ethereum. Nope. Keep going. It was less than 5 months ago, right? It's like nobody wanted to watch it because it was Ethereum. Okay, there we go. It was made 6 months ago. It's called Super Cycle and Completed Elliott Wave Expanded Flat, the case for Ethereum. I'll do this. Hit pause there. Grab that. There we go. I'll post it in the chat. There you go. The link in the chat to the Ethereum video has been posted in there. Okay. Dark Child John, new member, welcome. I'm Seer D. Have you compared any charts with Ethereum and NFT, meaning do NFT take off after Ethereum peaks and does a retrace? No, I haven't done it. I haven't done a tremendous amount of looking at comparing the NFT market to that. The one thing that I have I remember Raw Paul posting about it, which, I have mixed feelings about what he says, but that, it's very similar, right? It's like once people have a lot of unrealized gains, that's when they start really kind of washing everything around in the market. And that's when we see a lot of that stuff. So we see a lot. That's why we always see meme coins happen after, the market has run up and then we go into a retrace. Everybody's got a bunch of gains. They just start washing them all around. But it's probably similar. But thank you. Texas Takeover. PSA, blockchain backer is a chart analyst, not a fortune teller. Hey, there you go. I know. I think people put a lot of that pressure, and they do think of me as a time traveler. It's not. I'm showing you the charts, right? Saints HD. Considering. Oh wait, I have to be careful here. If this is a political post. I do not think politics in any way impact any of this. No. Not at all. No matter who's president, this happens. And we put a lot of faith in presidents. It doesn't matter. And it's nothing against any president in particular, right? I have no problem talking trash about any president. You guys know I'm not political and I don't come on here perpetuating political sides at any time. You guys know that. You watch this channel for a long time. I'm not stupid. I know not to alienate people one way or the other on my channel because it's negative. Half people want this thing, half people want that thing. Why use this platform for me to try to sway 20,000 votes, 30,000 votes? That's not going to impact the election. It's just dumb for me to do that. And no interest in doing it. And I love living my life not caring about politics either. But no, these things do not account or care who is president, who is not president. None of it at all matters. Harry, thank you, Saints HD. Saints HD. Harry Blackabay, new member, welcome. Carl, a fable. For those who aren't monthly members, you missed out on an epic member stream on Friday. BCB is more candid and tells you more of what he thinks we're going. BITI Bulls raise up. Dude, it'll be interesting to see what BITI is doing tomorrow. That will be interesting. Oh, look at Eric. Sign up for BCB Substack letter. It won't disappoint at blockchainbacker.substack.com. Yes, I agree. The new one was posted this morning. And so, it comes with a lovely audio recording so you can hear my voice as well. Luke, and of course, all the other ones are still there too. We have the 2024 Outlook, and of course, all that developer stuff. If you guys are wanting to see a case study, building a crypto portfolio, utilizing developer data, circulating supply inflation, and percentage drawdowns, all that stuff's available. You sign up, you can go back, you can read all the old ones, do everything you want. All that data is all still in there. But today we did post the new one. And of course, it being a big moment in time for Bitcoin. It's a monumental thing to finally happen and finally get there. We have hit the 618. And the most hated man on Twitter. At this point in time, and I do talk about it with like friends and some of you guys privately. This is the moment I live for. This is these are the times I'm in my element. I don't mind it when it's the whole when it's coming at me head on. It's okay. I'm thriving over here. I'm eating it alive. You know what? I'm actually in a moment in time, and I've told this to people too. I write 10 different tweets a day and then delete them and don't go through with it. I'm like, I'm going to really make them mad with that one. And then I don't hit send. All right. Thank you, Eric. And Luke says, have a good day, BCB. Everyone hit the like, frog. Yeah, we're almost at 1,000. Let's even cross 1,000 as I was unable to make this a 30-minute markets in the morning. We'll see if we can do it in under an hour. Van Media, thank you very much, Van. Love you, BCB. Thank you, bro. KIK, VRC, member for 5 months. Hey, BCB, thanks for your consistency. Could you have a look at XRP over Bitcoin? It's just like Ethereum did it. See if it reclaimed it. So just like Ethereum, it wicked down below, still holding on top. We'll see how it goes. It's gonna go when the whole market goes. All right, B, member, new, welcome. All right, there we go. Post it in the 702 chat. Oh, okay, yeah. Maybe I should just do that. Why let them go to waste, right? All right, guys, there we go. We made it we're at 1 hour, totally failed on 30 minutes. You got double the amount. Normally, again, guys, normally don't expect that we're going to be doing these things on days that the market is closed. This is normally a day off. And I do treat it that way. This, of course, has just been an exceptional week. The big announcement of, I've sold at the Retrace. I think that's the top of Bitcoin. In the event that it's not the top of Bitcoin, let the chastising begin. It will only be something like that, right? Which we talk about constantly. I do believe this is distribution. Things to keep our eyes out for is something between 45 to 47, and then finally taking out the daily lows. It's going to really solidify that in stone for me right in there, which I already go through everything in this newsletter, and we show all the volume profiles of everything. There are markers. There are definitely markers of volume of massive, massive selling that took place right in here. So caution there for Bitcoin. That's not something to hate on. That's just the reality. You can either look at it and accept it, or not, or not. But all right, that's it. Hey, BCB, what is the must-hold level for total 2 at this stage to remain bullish on all? So what would you consider as a lower low on alt time frame for total 2? Yeah, let's look at it. Total 2, the thing that would make me very uncomfortable is just a break of that right in there, right? So like, for example, I kind of like hearing this, guys, and it doesn't look like the same setup to me. But for those who were here for like the 22.5 cent days, that's like pulling down to right there, right? So that's like your 22.5 cent price level is pulling back down to right here. So crossing down below there and breaking down here into like the 570s or something like that. This is normal. This is normal. Hopefully not. Hopefully we're on the march up and we're on our way and things are taking off. But these levels down in here is where I'd start to say, man, we're really just getting through levels that we shouldn't be getting through right in here. We can definitely get that nasty. We can get that nasty and everything be fine. And we've talked about that a lot, that there's typically a pullback that happens in here. There's a chance that was good enough. But if you get below this area and just start closing down in here in the 580s or something like that, yuck. But we don't have signs of things like that in the stock market yet, of like the sky is falling and everything like that. And if you think I'm not spending every day looking for the sky to start falling, I am. I'm not one of the people who are sitting there thinking ETF inflow capital nobody's accounting for it. Nobody's thought about it. JP Morgan hasn't even thought about capital inflows, and I'm the only one with 400 million other people on Twitter who've figured this out. I'm not stuck in that mindset. I'm totally in the mindset of really, really watching out with where we are in the stock market, where we are with Bitcoin, for confluence of a series of events to unfold. And every day we will come on here, and whenever something really starts to look uncomfortable and not right, we're not going to live in denial about it. Not here. So. Crypt M2, BCB, you mentioned the XRP would hit around 64, then go sideways for a while. Is that still the case? Or was the move to 62 sufficient? I think that probably was it. I think that probably was it. And now we're just stuck until it finally breaks. Maybe there's one more. But that very well could have been it. And then just the sideways. All right. Before these keep coming, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. We're at over an hour. Guys, I hope you're having a great day. For many of you that you're off today, for many of you, you're not. The stock market is closed today. We normally do not live stream on that, but of course, it's a big day out in here. If you're looking for something to do, if you got some spare time, of course, check out bcbacker.com with over 40 videos and 11 hours of content in here, deep diving into that historical behavior of the market and teaching you how to set up your own charts and indicators in TradingView and CoinTrader Pro. Lots of informative information in here, and of course, explaining it in easy to understand ways. I do understand not everybody has the wherewithal or the knowledge to know how to do this stuff. Trying to take anybody from just having absolutely no experience, giving you years of it in 40 videos, skip a lot of mistakes in just a short amount of time, expensive mistakes. And then anybody who does have a tremendous amount of experience, I include so much alpha that I've learned in this almost 7 years that I've been in this market in here. Guaranteed people are going to learn something that they haven't learned before. So I don't think you could say the word guaranteed. I'm going to remove that word. 99.999% sure anybody will learn something new. And I think my track record proves that to be true as well. So otherwise, the new newsletter has been posted over there on blockchainbacker.substack.com. There's a link right there in the chat. There's a link in the description of this live stream and all of my videos to the newsletter. Otherwise, you guys have an absolutely wonderful day. If you are in the middle of the Arctic blast, I hope you're safe. Hope you got electricity in your house and you're staying warm. And guys, I will check in with you tomorrow and we'll be back on our normal stuff, which this was pretty much normal. We went over an hour on a Monday. Normal. All right, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you could, please like this live stream. Hey, we got 1,000. And give it a thumbs up. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.